This is in your handout. This is the process for class meetings. So when you do a class meeting, it's going to sound and look similar to this. And I've got the script in your book, but I begin week 2 using this as a teaching tool. So it would look like this. You get everybody in a circle and you say, we're going to have a class meeting. And I didn't have a talking stick. I didn't have anything like that. We just, listen when someone else is speaking. But you say these words, I've noticed. So it's about what you've noticed. I've noticed when we line up for lunch, there's a lot of pushing and shoving in line. Say that with me. I've noticed when we line up for lunch, there's a lot of pushing and shoving in line. Then I say these words. And I say, it's a problem for me because my job is to keep it safe, and that is not safe. So you make up why it's a problem for you. And then you ask this question. Has anyone else noticed this? Is this a problem for anyone else? And you know what? Their hands are going to go up. And guess who the hands that go up are the people that have been what? Pushed? Yes. The people that have been bumped are going to raise their hand. So this is where you get buy-in. Everyone's going to say, oh yeah, that's a problem. Then you reframe it. I say, because they're going to go, yeah, someone's pushed me, and now you reframe it into a positive. And I say, so the problem is, say that with me, so the problem is some of us are having a hard time lining up safely. And then I get out my chart paper. I was going to use chart paper in the room, but I found chart paper online and pretended I had I did the best I could with the tools I had. But this says, and here's the question, what could we do differently so everyone is safe? And then we just brainstorm ideas. And some of them are pretty wacky. You know what? They push, we call their mom. And that's not going to be the one we choose, but there are no wrong answers. Here's the deal. If I say, I'm not going to put that one down, that person feels like they're not part of it. So I don't care if they say, go spank them in the corner, which I've never had anyone do that. But you write down what they say. If they say something, that's really hurtful, you would tweak it a little bit. But then after I have that list, then we whittle it down and we figure out what would work best for us. And one child, we did this one time, one child says, Mrs. Hepler, you know those rules you have? I go, yeah. He said, you should just read them every day when we go out the door. Before we line up in the circle. And I go, why didn't I think of that? So look, here's what it is. I love it. Oh, this isn't the right one, but you may line up with your hands at your side. You may line up with your hands behind your back. You may not push and shove when you line up. They said, if you read that every day, I think we'll remember. And so that's what we agreed on. That's the plan. And then guess what you do? After you agree on it, anytime you're learning a new routine or practicing, say this with me, we map it out. Say that. Map it out. And when we map it out, I got ahead of myself, I'm going to draw, this had the visuals, but there's been times when we were talking too loud in the lunchroom and we had a scary lunch lady. And so I drew little stick figures on a little lunch table so they could see a visual of what to do. And then guess what we did? We walked to the lunchroom, we practiced. We practiced lining up with a card. Do you think practicing once is enough? No. You practice more than once. And then we decide how we're going to see if it's working. And someone said, I won't get pushed. I said, well, there you go. So we'll know if it's working if people feel safe and no one's getting pushed in line. Does everyone think that's a good way for us to check in? Yeah? I said, so when are we going to do this? And I let them decide. Usually they'll say in a week. So we go back and we revisit it in a week. If it's working, brilliant, check that off your list of things to do. If it's not working, you go back and relook at the list and find a different plan. How many times do we think, well, I tried that and it didn't work, and we just stop? If it doesn't work, you go back with your school family and you create another plan. The first time I heard Becky Bailey do this, I thought, I teach 5-year-olds. That is not going to work. Is anyone in here thinking that? Oh, well, good for you. So I did. And the first time I did it, it was messy. Because my first inclination was to say, well, sending someone to the office for pushing in line, we're not going to put, I nixed them, right? I said, we're not putting that on there. That can't be on the list. And then I learned to accept all answers, which strengthened the school family.